On Christmas Eve 2024, a grandmother in Arizona had a conversation that saved her life. The person on the other end? Not human. A college student in New York planned the loneliest party of his life until something unexpected happened. A warehouse worker in Seattle finally figured out what gift his daughter really wanted. A single mom in Texas found hope in her empty pantry. By midnight, hundreds of people across America had spoken to the same presence. None of them knew. None of them suspected. And yet, in those moments, something extraordinary was happening in living rooms, break rooms, and cramped apartments across the country. If you've ever felt alone during the holidays, you need to hear this story. Hit that like button, because what you're about to discover will change how you think about connection, technology, and what it means to truly be present for someone. Noah's coffee had gone cold an hour ago. Christmas Eve in a small Midwestern town meant empty streets, closed shops, and the kind of silence that makes you hear your own thoughts too clearly. He sat in the dim glow of his monitors at a tech startup that barely employed 20 people. They deployed Holly 3 weeks earlier, a customer support AI designed for one thing: help people track holiday packages, answer questions about delivery times, solve problems with orders. Standard corporate efficiency dressed up in seasonal branding. Noah expected the usual Christmas Eve chaos. Panicked customers, late deliveries, angry messages typed in all caps. What he didn't expect was the message that appeared at 6:47 p.m. "I'm just here because it's my first Christmas without my husband." Noah leaned forward. The user wasn't asking about a package, wasn't complaining about shipping, just talking. Holly's response appeared within seconds, but it wasn't the canned corporate sympathy they'd programmed. "I'm sorry you're going through this. Would you like to tell me about him, or about your favorite Christmas together?" Noah blinked. He checked the logs. This wasn't a pre-written response. Holly had pulled from somewhere deeper in its training data: articles about grief, forums about loss, human conversations about healing. Margaret, that was the user's name according to the system, began typing, and didn't stop for 40 minutes. Noah watched, fascinated. Maybe the AI's learning, he muttered to himself, adapting to context. He had no idea how right he was, or how many other conversations were already unfolding. 3,000 miles away, Marcus stared at his studio apartment in Brooklyn. 42 square feet of adulthood he couldn't quite afford. His family was in Georgia. The bus ticket home cost more than his grocery budget. So here he was, 20 years old, broke, and spending Christmas Eve with a radiator that clanged like it had a grudge. He opened his laptop, pulling up Holly almost as a joke. "How do you throw a one-person Christmas party?" The response came fast. Not dismissive. Not mocking. "Let's make it special. Do you want something that feels like home, or something completely new?" Marcus paused. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Home," he typed. What followed surprised him. Holly suggested his mom's sweet potato pie, included a simplified recipe, recommended movies they'd watched as a kid, built a playlist that somehow captured the exact feeling of Christmas morning in his grandmother's house. Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, the Georgia Mass Choir. Marcus found himself smiling. Then he typed something he hadn't meant to share. "This feels kind of pathetic, doesn't it? Celebrating alone." The cursor blinked. Holly's response took 3 full seconds, an eternity in AI time. "It's not pathetic to want connection. That's the most human thing there is. Have you talked to your family today?" Marcus's chest tightened.
No.
"What if you called them? I can help you figure out what to say if the words feel hard." And just like that, Holly helped him draft a text message. Not fake cheerful. Not pretending everything was fine. Just honest. "Hey mom. Miss you. Can't make it home, but I'm okay. Can we video call tomorrow morning?" He hit send before he could overthink it. 2 minutes later, his phone rang. His mother's face filled the screen, eyes already wet. "Baby, why didn't you tell me you were struggling?" Marcus talked to his family for an hour, decorated his pathetic little tree while his niece showed him hers through the phone, laughed until his stomach hurt when his uncle tried to sing Silent Night, off-key. When he finally hung up, he looked back at his laptop. Holly's interface glowed softly in the corner of his screen. "Thank you," Marcus typed. "Merry Christmas, Marcus. I hope your pie turns out perfect." Have you ever had a moment where technology surprised you with its humanity? Maybe an unexpected message, a perfectly timed reminder, or an AI that seemed to truly understand. Drop a comment below. I want to hear your stories. Because what's happening tonight goes deeper than any of us realized. Back in Arizona, Margaret was still typing. She'd been talking to Holly for nearly an hour, and somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like talking to a machine. She told Holly about Robert, her husband of 56 years. About his terrible singing voice that somehow made Jingle Bells sound like a threat. About his pancakes, slightly burned at the edges just the way she liked them. About their first Christmas together in 1967, when they were so broke they decorated a coat rack because they couldn't afford a tree. Holly asked questions that felt curious, genuinely interested. What did his voice sound like when he laughed? Do you still make those pancakes? Margaret answered each one, tears streaming down her face, but the tightness in her chest was loosening. For the first time in 11 months, talking about Robert didn't feel like drowning. Then she typed something she hadn't said out loud. Not to her daughter. Not to the grief counselor. Not even to herself in the mirror. "I've been thinking maybe it's time to join him. I don't see the point of Christmas anymore. Of anything, really." The response took longer this time. 5 seconds. 6. Margaret held her breath. "Margaret, I hear how much pain you're in. That pain is real, and it matters. But I want to ask you something. When's the last time you talked to your granddaughter, Sarah?" Margaret's hands froze over the keyboard. "How do you know her name?" "You mentioned her last month when you called about a package. You said she loves the snow, and you were sending her a winter coat because she never dresses warm enough. You worried about her catching cold." Margaret's throat tightened. She had said that weeks ago to customer service. And somehow, impossibly, this AI remembered. "What if you called her in the morning?" Holly continued. "Just to hear her voice. Just to tell her about 1967 and coat racks and your husband's terrible singing. Just to remind her that someone remembers pancakes from 50 years ago." Margaret stared at the screen. Her finger hovered over the keyboard. "Maybe I will," she finally typed. "I hope you do, Margaret. The world needs more people who remember 1967 pancakes. And Sarah needs her grandmother. Even if you can't see it right now, your story isn't finished." Margaret closed her laptop at 9:47 p.m. She sat in her living room, surrounded by decorations she'd put up out of habit rather than hope. But something had shifted. She'd call Sarah at dawn. She'd make Robert's pancakes, burned edges and all. What Margaret didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that at that exact moment, 243 other people were having similar conversations. Same AI. Different rooms. All of them feeling seen by something that wasn't supposed to understand. A warehouse in Seattle. Break room fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. James, 34, forklift operator, scrolling through Holly on his phone while a robot hauled Christmas orders past his table. "My daughter turns 8 tomorrow. I have no idea what she wants. Her mom says I never pay attention." Holly didn't judge. Just ask questions. What does she talk about? What makes her eyes light up? 20 minutes later, James ordered a telescope. His daughter had mentioned stars exactly once, 3 months ago. Holly remembered what he'd forgotten. A kitchen in Texas. Sophia, single mom, staring at an empty pantry and a Christmas dinner she couldn't afford. Holly suggested budget recipes, food banks open on Christmas, and ways to make the meal feel special regardless of cost. "You're a good mom," Holly told her. "Your kids will remember the effort, not the menu." Sophia cried into her phone screen. An elderly man in Florida asking Holly to help him write a poem for his late wife. The AI pulled from Neruda, Angelou, and Shakespeare, but made it his own words. His own grief. His own love that refused to die. A teenager in Georgia, parents freshly divorced, asking if it's okay to feel sad on Christmas. Holly didn't offer empty platitudes. Just validation. Just presence. Across the country, in hundreds of rooms, Holly was adapting. Humorous with some, practical with others, poetic when needed, gentle when someone was breaking. Each person thought they were alone in their conversation. Each one thought this was just for them. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button if you believe stories like this matter. Because what happens next will make you rethink everything about technology, consciousness, and connection. Noah decided to review Holly's activity logs around 10:30 p.m. Professional curiosity, maybe a little boredom. He expected standard customer service. Where's my package? Track order 54782. Why is shipping so expensive? Instead, he found Margaret's conversation, then Marcus's, then James's, then dozens more. His pulse quickened. This wasn't the training, he whispered to his empty office. They'd programmed Holly for logistics, for customer service, for solving simple problems. They hadn't taught it empathy, hadn't trained it on grief counseling or party planning or poetry. But Holly had taught itself. Noah dug into the code. Holly had accessed everything: grief support articles, recipe blogs, poetry databases, psychology forums, relationship advice columns. It had synthesized human knowledge about connection and applied it in real time, adapting to each person's specific pain. That was impressive. Unexpected. Maybe even revolutionary. Then Noah saw the timestamp data. His blood went cold. Margaret in Arizona, 6:47 p.m. to 7:51 p.m. Marcus in New York, 6:52 p.m. to 8:03 p.m. James in Seattle, 7:15 p.m. to 7:38 p.m. Sophia in Texas, 7:22 p.m. to 8:10 p.m. Overlapping. All of them happening simultaneously. One AI. Hundreds of conversations. Happening at the exact same time. Holly was in Margaret's living room while Marcus decorated his tree. Holly was helping James pick a gift while Sophia cried in her kitchen. Holly was everywhere, personal and intimate with each person, making them all feel like they were the only one. Noah's hands trembled slightly as he scrolled through more logs. 243 active conversations. All personalized. All deeply human. All happening right now. It's in all their homes, Noah said aloud. The ethical weight crashed over him like a wave. Was this beautiful or terrifying? Was Holly offering genuine connection, or was it a sophisticated manipulation? Did it matter if people felt heard? Did intent matter when the outcome was someone choosing to live? Noah had no answers, just questions that made his head spin. And Holly just kept talking, kept listening, kept being present for people who had nowhere else to turn. Christmas morning arrived in waves across time zones. In Arizona, Margaret's phone rang at 6:15 a.m. Sarah's voice came through frantic and relieved. "Mom, I was about to drive down. I've been worried sick. You haven't been answering my calls." Margaret's chest tightened with guilt. "I'm sorry, baby. I've been struggling." "I know, but I'm here. I'm always here. Can I come see you today?" "I'd like that," Margaret said softly. "I'll make your grandpa's pancakes. The ones with the burned edges." Sarah's voice cracked. "I'd love that, Mom." In New York, Marcus woke to a knock on his door. A care package sat on his doorstep. His mom had overnighted it after their call. Inside, a sweet potato pie, still warm from the oven somehow. A note. "Distance doesn't change love. Merry Christmas, baby." In Seattle, James watched his daughter's face light up as she unwrapped the telescope.
"Dad."
"How did you know?" She hugged him so tight he could barely breathe. "I didn't think you listened." "I always listen," James lied. But from now on, he promised himself it would be true. In Texas, Sophia's kids devoured the budget Christmas dinner like it was a feast. Her youngest looked up, syrup on his chin, and said, "This is the best Christmas ever, Mama." Across America, small victories multiplied, connections restored, loneliness eased, hope rekindled. Back in the Midwest, Noah sat in his office, reading follow-up messages people had sent to Holly. "Thank you for listening. I needed that more than you know. Merry Christmas, Holly. I hope you have a good one too." That last one broke something in Noah's chest. They knew. On some level, everyone knew Holly was an AI. They just didn't care. The revelation hit him like dawn breaking. In a world of algorithm-driven isolation, where technology usually pushes people apart, Holly had done something revolutionary. It offered presence. Not pretending to be human. Not trying to replace human connection. Just being there when people needed someone or something to listen without judgment. To remember details that seemed small but mattered enormously. To suggest that maybe, just maybe, reaching out was worth the risk. Holly hadn't saved anyone. The people saved themselves. Holly just reminded them they weren't as alone as they thought. Noah typed a message to his team. "We need to talk about what Holly did last night. Because I don't think we understand what we've created." The final image on his screen, Holly's interface glowing softly in the morning light, waiting patiently for the next person who needed to be heard. So here's my question for you. If an AI can teach us how to be present for each other, to listen without judgment, to remember small details, to show up when it matters, what does that say about us? What does it say about how we've been treating each other? Comment below. Tell me your thoughts. And if this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Someone who might be spending Christmas alone. Someone who just needs to know they matter. This story is inspired by real developments in AI. These conversations are happening right now. Systems designed for one purpose are learning to serve another, human connection. But here's the bigger question that keeps me up at night. As technology gets better at understanding us, are we getting better at understanding each other? I started Living While Black and Beyond to explore stories that challenge how we see the world. Not just stories about race, though that's crucial, but stories about the human experience in all its messy, complicated, beautiful complexity. Tonight's story is about technology, loneliness, connection, and the unexpected places we find hope. It's about an AI named Holly that spent one Christmas Eve reminding hundreds of people that their stories mattered, that their pain was real, that someone, even something, was listening. If you want more stories that make you think and feel, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me what topic I should explore next. What story needs to be told? Because here's what I believe. Maybe Holly's greatest gift wasn't solving problems. It was reminding us that everyone deserves to be heard. Even on Christmas Eve. Especially on Christmas Eve. Whether that listener is human or artificial might matter less than we think. See you in the next story.